Yeah.
All right. Well, let's have a look. Can you send us a link by chat? I think it's too hard to do the chat now. Okay, let's look at it. So NIE batch 26, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, send you the link.
Could you give me a control over your website and I will discuss it? Just could you send me the link? Maybe stop sharing and could you give me a link?
Yes, I sent a link in the group already.
Okay. I'm just gonna look at the chat. I can't see the link in the chat.
It is in Telegram, Dr. Ania. Please go to
In Telegram. My
86.
friends love Telegram. Where's the Telegram? Here. Okay. I can't see it.
NIE research team, that one.
Oh, so complicated.
Afternoon, Sapirni. Thanks for coming.
Yes. Sorry, teacher, I'm late.
You're on time, don't worry.
We can't see your website, my friend. You have to give us, you have to publish it. Can you publish it?
Oh, my website I finished, teacher. I grew up with Ratana.
Yeah, can you publish it to give us a proper link without the word edit?
Yes,
Srenik, please publish it and then send the link to her again.
In chat or wherever, I don't care. It's better when it's published.
yes.
Srenik, are you with us? And do you know how to publish it? Just click the word publish and then
Click
copy the
on
link.
again. Yeah.
I give you a link again.
Now it cannot have the word edit in it.
And I'm not sure, Professor, how to. I just publish it and I send you the link again already in the chat. Teacher, you publish hay tạo tâm.
Maybe Dr. Anya, can you do it in the editing like this because she doesn't know how to publish it?
It's not gonna show because her site is not permitting anyone's view. Oh, it is okay. Wow, it's good now. Okay, my friends. So here it is. Let's have a look. I will now share a screen. Okay, so we're learning how to communicate with public, right? Our job here is not, this is very, very important, right? Our job, what we are learning, we are not learning to, I'm writing in chat at the same time, we are not learning to comply with the teacher, be it Neri or me. We're not learning that. We are learning to create an effective website. And you may ask yourselves, why are we learning to create an effective website? Who cares? Well, we are learning how to create an effective website because we are learning what? We are learning to communicate. Or the way I see it, we are learning literacy skills. Right? So literacy is not about using words and grammar. but it is to use them effectively so that other people understand us, right? Right?
Yes.
Okay, so Neri, we will leave a
Yes.
student, we will not put too much pressure on the student. You are now the audience, right? You are the public. What is this? What is the website about? What do you think?
To me, when I'm looking to this, I'm thinking that they are going to tell me about tourism site in Cambodia because I see a temple.
Okay, why would I want to? I mean, I can see otherwise interesting things in Cambodia. I can go to Google and type images, interesting things, tourist things about in Cambodia. I get all these places. Why would I want to look at this website when I can see it here?
It may have something more interesting than just a picture. Maybe
But we don't know that.
Mhm.
She's not saying that. So okay, so this is not the criticism. Now remember, my dear students, when I talk to you like this, I am modeling to you how to engage with your students in schools, right? So I'm not talking to you for you to learn how to be effective communicator. I'm working with you so that you can evaluate for yourselves if you want to use the same strategies to talk to your students, right? So the question, when I'm asking you questions, it is not to necessarily discuss your website. It is to model how you can discuss websites with your students one day when you work in schools. So the question that I would pose if I was a teacher in school, I would say, what's so different about your website and Google? Because at this very moment, what I see is that it's the, I forgot what it's called. What is it called? What's that temple called?
Angkor Wat.
Angkor Wat, right. So all I see is Angkor Wat. Then I see that you will be talking about, you will be showing interesting places in Cambodia. I see you against different background. I don't understand the background. And that's it.
Yeah, the background, the picture on the background of different places that we took picture. Actually, we just took a picture that we think is not bad. We look good in it, so we don't think much about the background of the picture.
Okay, so if you ask me, I love your pictures. I am not against your pictures. What I am asking you is to reflect on if your title here communicates to me, the public, what to find on your website.
Maybe I will rewrite it because this is my first time to make a website, Professor.
Okay, it is true, but we are not. This is not your first time when we have a class on English literacy. we were discussing how to create a heading for a few weeks. So last week we have covered the ant and the grasshopper. And what we decided was that if the title of this fable was "The grasshopper dies because of the winter," right? That could have been a title, "The grasshopper dies because of the winter." But when we had a discussion last week, we decided that the title in green wouldn't be a good title because it wouldn't reflect what the story was really about. And the story was about comparing two contrasting attitudes to life, two different attitudes to life. One is a careless attitude, "Oh, I'm just hopping around." And the other one was a planner, a person who plans ahead and therefore survives winter, whereas grasshopper, right, so doesn't. So we were doing a lot of work on titles. We've done titles of the, I don't have a picture here, but we've done titles of that Sver Yang story. What was it about? Something like students, do we remember that? Students learn by, you know, I don't know, using hands-on, I don't know, hands-on projects or something like this. I can't remember what the title was. But, right, we've discussed the title as well. And we said the title was better if it starts with students rather than teachers. We compared it with another title that our peers had. What did they say? Teachers created a garden with used tires and what was it else? And plastic bottles. We discussed that title and we said it's way better when we say students learn about sustainability by utilizing or working with waste materials, something like that. So we did a lot of work reflecting on what makes a title good. If we talk about teachers, that wasn't interesting for the public. I mean, because it doesn't actually communicate why the teachers created that garden. So it's naive. It's not, it's a draft, right? So that's one thing that we are learning. When I was a student, postgraduate student doing masters, my husband told me, never get married to your draft. We all produce drafts. My husband is very good, but if you saw how he creates his texts to begin with, you would cry. They are so bad. I couldn't believe it. His texts, his drafts were very bad, but that's a draft. And then he reflects on it and rewrites, and then he produces a very good piece. So we all produce drafts. So when our students created the story about the garden created with used tires, that was great. The story seemed to me great. But what we needed to do is to reflect on the title to see if this title would be interesting for the audience. Do teachers Does the audience not want to know what teachers do? Or is it more important for the audience to learn why the teachers created a garden with used tires? Why? So the intentions. So we decided that intention was more relevant. And so we turned teachers to students, right? So we changed the title and we said, now what the teachers did was important, but for the audience or for the public, what's important is to know why the teachers created this garden, for students to learn about sustainability. Right? So we did a lot of this work. I strongly suggest that our students, so this is what I'm going to do, that I'm trying to look for our website, that our students go to our website here. So I go to the link. I'll try to copy the link and paste it here. I would love our students to go to our website, go to lecture recordings and rewatch those, especially the last ones, right? So you can actually reflect again. These are just good strategies to use. So yes, this is your first website, but now what's important is to see how could we make this title a bit more reflecting the spirit of the website. So you clearly do not want to just show interesting places of Cambodia, right? Because you will be writing stories. I mean, your website will have stories. So it's not just showing places in Cambodia, it's also about creating stories. So that would be good to reflect so that people go, oh, what kind of stories about Cambodia? I can find interesting places in Cambodia on Google, but they are just pictures. They don't have story. Go here, 10 tourist attractions, right? Go there, look, that's what I find. And very generic descriptions. Siem Reap is in the north, it's an old city, and this and that. These are very generic texts. So your website will have more than pictures. It will have text, stories. Why not tell it to the public? On this website, you will find stories about interesting places in Cambodia. Say it. It's very hard to think like this. So instead of welcome to, on this website, you will find stories about interesting places in Cambodia. So that's one way. On this website, you will find stories about interesting places in Cambodia. Or here, you will find, here, you don't have to say on this website, here, you will find here, or a welcome to our website, and then colon, here, you will find, I'm just thinking how to describe those stories to make them very interesting. you'll find stories that will reveal to you new or new, I don't know, something like revelations. I don't know, I can't think of the word, about interesting places in Cambodia. Stories that will reveal to you, that will illuminate interesting facts and mysteries that surround interesting places in Cambodia. You see, so now I'm just demonstrating to you how you can tell people what's on the website. So I'm gonna, I have hidden now the chat on my screen so it doesn't disturb you, but you can open it on your screen. So these were just examples that,
Yes.
that help you, yes, about the process, right? Come here, you will see text, you will see stories, come to us, or welcome here to our website. Here you will find amazing stories or mysterious stories about Cambodia, or amazing stories about our mysterious country, Cambodia. Something like, you know, you want to sell it. So think of words first in Khmer and then maybe in English, and think, come here. Here you will find stories you have never heard about a mysterious country and its interest and its interesting tourist icons, you know, icons. I'm not sure whether you, you know, yeah, you want to, you know, you want to advertise it. Advertise it. Come here, nowhere else you can see what we have here. Best website about Cambodia. So rather than welcome to Cambodia, you can say best website about Cambodia and its tourist places. Oh my God, when I see that, I want to look at it. Right? So when you talk about yourself in such positive words, you are communicating to the audience that you made an effort to do something different, something worth checking, right? So this is the skill of communicating. When you love your husband, you don't say to him, you have a nice shirt on, right? You don't say, you have a nice shirt on. You say, I love you. And you send him hearts. And you say, you're the best guy on the planet. I married the best guy on the planet, right? You say it because you want him to feel what you feel. You don't say, oh, hello. You say, come here, I love you so much.
But Cambodia a little bit different from the other, I think, from the other culture, because we do not really love to confess ourselves in front of the other. We just say something around the sunset, the sky is dark, getting dark.
Right, but once you close the door and there is no others, you clearly have to show honesty of your feelings. Otherwise, people don't stay together. But what I'm saying is, this is a website is a product. When you want to sell your product, you need to say things which communicate what this product is about, right? So you are now with this website, you want to sell. This website is a product you want to sell to people like me or Neri. Come here, look at this website. We have here interesting stories about our amazing country and its most famous icons, right? Tourist icons. if any of you is selling soap or perfume or makeup, come here. I will make your face look better. I'll make your face look exactly how you, or even better, you know, like I'm a great makeup artist. Come here. I learned makeup artistry in Paris. Come to me. Right? So you need to communicate something that tells me what I am to find here. Is it just in pictures of Cambodia, or is it stories about tourist icons? Amazing amazing stories about the mysterious icons, tourist icons of Cambodia. Cambodia is mysterious. It has a long past. There's a lot of stories about Angkor Wat, but Cambodia is more than Angkor Wat, right? So there's a lot of history there. The history has to be told. Will you uncover some of those stories and tell them through your website? If so, then you say, welcome to our website. Here you find untold stories or amazing stories about tourist icons in Cambodia. And I go, oh my God, there are some stories about those icons. I want to read about them. So I'm not sure whether I communicated my point well. Sometimes I speak too fast, maybe, but does everyone? What do you think about what I said?
It's great to me because if we write something which is clear, so when the audience, when the reader, or when the viewer see it, they will want to go to see it in depth. And so my question is, if I put question in that, let's say, is it your first time in Cambodia? Come to see us, we will tell you something more. Is that possible if I write question in that?
Well, this is why we have groups together. The groups have to decide what they think is the best way to communicate the message. My role is to help you to reflect, give you tools, model reflection. But the words you have to find yourself. And not only that, you have to come back here to the class and say, this is why we did it. And we think it's really good. Right? Tell us, Ania, do you agree? Do you understand? Ania, do you understand our website? And I would say yes or no. So that's the idea. The idea is for you to know and for you to tell me whether I see what you see. The pictures are great. I love the idea that you have put every person from the group against an icon of Cambodia. We have art, we have landscape, and we have Angkor Wat or something like that on the here with Chan Tavi. I think this is great. I really do. But it doesn't say, I have not, but because it doesn't say that you will tell stories about these icons, tourist icons, I don't know why I should click on it.
Yeah, Professor, we will discuss and rewrite the title again.
Yeah, and have fun, guys, thinking that. Imagine if you were a journalist, you would just have laughter going, how about if we say something like, obviously you will not do it, you know, come here, #1 website in Cambodia, about Cambodia. Have fun with it. This is about self-expression, right? So you put yourself out there on the market, and this is, you know, and I think that these discussions we're having now are good because it brings you closer to the assignment, which is assignment 1 is to write a story. Right? Assignment 1 is to write is about writing a story. And consequently, I think since you know that, then you might as well focus your website on stories. You can have stories, then you will have advertisements about tourist icons, so it will be a different genre. So first is mysterious stories, or stories unraveling the mystery of Cambodia, stories unraveling the mystery of Cambodia and its tourist icons. And then we will have advertisements, and then we'll have presentations. So it is about talking about Cambodia. So I think that if you, in this title here, if you say it to us what to expect to find on your website, that would be really good. And that's all you need to probably change, right? Because other than that, it's great. I also don't think that you need to write our group has 3 members. I think it's a bit schooly. It's like what children write in schools. This is a website, so you don't need to act like a student. I would personally, I mean, when I go to a website where we were last week, you know, about Cambodianness.com, we didn't know how many students were in each group, right? There was nothing like that. I would remove it. It is your website. You are part of subject at your college, NIE, at the institute, but it doesn't have to be, the website itself doesn't have to be schooly. I would just remove it. I would just say that here the story will be about something, title of a story and title of a story. You know, like people normally do on websites, we looked at it. Under the picture, you can have an exciting title of a story, and then you can say, so it could be like title underneath the picture, whatever the title is. And then you can say by this and this person, and that's it. And the same with Sorn, and the same with, yeah. So title and then by this and this person. And yeah, so think also about sexy titles for each of those stories you want to write for assignment 1. So in order, yeah, so we will discuss it some later. So as we said, the title of a story has to really reflect the message of a story. So with a grasshopper, the message was the message was compare 2 different attitudes to life. So if you write your story about Angkor Wat here by Tavi, you don't say things like 1,000 years ago, there was this Buddhist village and they built lots of houses, and then they had a big lake, and then they all died out, and nobody knows why they all died out, and that was then. Think of the element that you want to focus on, right? What is your story to focus on? What's the message? If people, the message could be about sustainability, which is maybe the people in Angkor Wat didn't actually work out their living conditions well. They relied so much on water being present in the lake that maybe when the drought came or something, they all died out or had to leave, right? Because there was no more water and they didn't have any emergencies. You have to always have an emergency. If the water is not in the dam, you have to have other supplies so that people don't die. So that could have been the message. I don't know. Another message could have been, you know, that the fate of humanity is ongoing change, right? So Angkor Wat, no matter how magnificent it was, today it is only ruins right? Because people were there and now they moved on somewhere else. So it's like a story of life, right? So you can compare the life of a human being, born, lives, dies. Angkor Wat, born, lived, died. Beautiful, right? And interesting, as opposed to what typically you can find about Angkor Wat. 1,000 years ago, people came and then they died out. And that's the story of Angkor Wat. Right, so think for yourself a little bit. What's the point that you would want to communicate? The same about, is this just a landscape, a way of living? What's Solita? What's Solita trying to illustrate? What's at the background here?
She's not here, but I'm thinking maybe she want to present about her hometown, because somewhere here, maybe in Kampot or Kong province, maybe Kong province, I think. Solita.
Okay, so how people live, right? A lot of things change. I mean, think of the message. What's the message here? Is, you know, maybe the lifestyle appears to look the same today as it did 1,000 years ago, but maybe there are differences to notice. So sometimes change is not immediate to be seen. Say, maybe, you know, these people practice the same way of living, but these are not the same people. And they also don't live the same lives in some way. So compare, the time passes, and even though on the surface the buildings look the same and the lifestyle looks the same, but actually different people, different lifestyles, different ways of thinking, different contexts. So bring out some comparison. Remember, we're learning from ant and grasshopper. Grasshopper, careless, and careful, planner. Right, so and that's what made the story interesting, that there was this, we will come back to grasshopper today or next week, but that's what I want you to see, that stories are always made from comparisons in order for us to learn something from them, to have the moral, right? Every story has a moral, because when people tell a story, it's in order for us to get something out of that story. I don't tell a story because just in order to move my lips. I tell a story to communicate a message. And the message is always an outcome of a contrast. Good versus bad, old versus new, change versus stability, chaos versus order. All of that. Okay, so what do we have here? We have Srenic against some cultural artifacts. Can someone tell me more about those?
Sydney, can you say something about your story, or can you move to your province? Where is it, in Kampot, right? Or which province are you going to write?
The one who opened the website, Professor Ania, the one who shared the screen, so I can go.
Yes, tell her where you should click in order to go to the story.
Okay, so when you create these pictures, like Tavi, Solita, and Srenic, if you create these pictures, make sure that these pictures are about the story that is underneath them, right? So if you have Srenic in front of cultural artifacts, you want the story to be relevant to the picture. So, and therefore you have to rethink a little bit. Why do you want to talk about these artifacts?
Ania, to me, Sydney doesn't want to present about artifact. Because this is just her profile photo of herself, not about her story.
I understand. So maybe what I'm encouraging now, Yeah, okay. So I'm just leaving it there. So I think that the students understand perfectly well that the message, that the website has to communicate its content. The title of the website has to communicate its content, and
Yeah, maybe you can go to this.
so we don't have much here yet. It's still right. So we will leave girls now here with this website, and they can work further on it. I think it's an excellent draft. I really do. I think the only thing I would correct is a little bit of the title. I think that the title is good. It focuses us on the interesting places in Cambodia. I think this is really interesting for most people in Cambodia and outside Cambodia. I think it's important that this title communicates that we will find stories here. So I think that's something that needs editing. But I like the pictures. I like the website. I'm very happy that you created headings here. So that's very good. I think it shows very good skills, technical skills. That's something that NIRI will be assessing, whether there are some nice technical skills showing through this website, whether you actually learned on your own, because I didn't teach it to you, whether on your own you had enough initiative and independence to work in a group and to create aesthetically pleasing and effective website. And I think it's all there. So congratulations on that. And we've discussed a little bit, so we will look forward to your next step forward. Niri, do you want to comment some more?
I think nothing more, but what I want Janet to understand is to give more explanation or writing more on the homepage like here, because whenever the viewer come to see the website, they really want to see in that, I mean, more descriptive, a little bit more descriptive, so everyone can see and want to go to the website and look for more information like this. Do you understand, Sinek, what Dr. Ania want to tell you?
Yeah, I understand. Me and my group will discuss more on the title, revise it, and
Good,
so
good. And for the group member here, maybe you remove and just put about us like this, and then when they click on that, they will see your profile photo together with your background, who you are, what are you doing, what are you trying to do, so on and so forth.
Fantastic. So I'll stop sharing now. That's really good example. Do we have some other students with websites?
Yes, we do. Sron, are you here, right? I think you are here. Can you present your website?
I can't hear.
Yes, Ron. Turn on your microphone so everyone can hear you.
Sorry, I'm eating. I didn't have anything for dinner. Can't hear. Can't hear.
He's working. Yeah, he's working on it. Ron, we cannot hear you. What's the problem?
Oh my gosh. Maybe it's a broken about my headset. Okay.
Okay.
So I first of all I would like to pay high respect to Dr. Ania and homeroom teacher teacher Neri.
Yeah. Hello.
Thank you.
Okay, so all right, okay, it is my turn, but I don't think it is interesting or not. Okay, let me let them see. All right. Can I share? Yes.
Can you maybe just put the link into the chat?
Sorry, teacher, I cannot copy link into the to the in the chat box because I don't understand when I copy link. It's we don't have any icons. Teacher? Okay, let me show you. I cannot copy link to in chat box into our chat box. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. And one more thing, I have that means I have a question on that. Oh, where? Let me. Or storytelling or eyes. Sorry, teacher. What's going on? Okay. Can you see, teacher?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Okay, I cannot copy link here. I don't understand how to solve the problem here. I just okay, that means I publish, and after that I cannot. Here, look at this.
Okay, so
I cannot publish it. I don't know why.
who created this website? Did you create this website? Are you all allowed? Are you all given access to it? Permissions?
Yes. Honestly, I edit my my website on Monday last week, but again now I cannot copy link to you. I'm sorry. Which and the top in the website we have like editing. I don't know why.
Okay, I said, can you show me who the people, the addresses who are editors here? Can you show me where you have addresses of people who can edit?
Yes, I will show you. Okay, so there are 3 editors. Number 1, Honey Moon. Number 2 is K Samrong. Number 3 is Pirum. Okay, there are 3 people can edit in my website.
All right, can you click done?
Okay, done. And that's it. We don't have here.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know.
Okay, so what I suggest, you go on YouTube and you type on YouTube, why can I not publish my Google sites? Something like that. And maybe you will find someone explaining to you.
Yeah, thank you for help. But here in the website title we have the edits. But when I that means I create already, but my group member try to edit again my website, so it's a change. Okay, so I think that here is it okay, like before we move to our interesting story, we have a quote.
Okay, so this is the home page. The more you study, the more you are foolish, Socrates.
Yeah.
Okay, go down. Please go down. Welcome to our interesting stories. Okay. Okay, so So let me just ask you some questions. What's this? I mean, let me ask NIE first, because NIE is like the independent public. NIE, do you know what the website is about?
So from my point of view, this may be something that when I see the picture, so I think, oh, there are a lot of students. Maybe the students they are in class. So if they want to study, they might want to go to this website to see something more. But when I see
Okay.
the phrase, the more you study, the more you are foolish. It's like, oh.
Right. So that's a reflection. Someone has to think whether, yeah. So we are a little bit confused by it because we may understand it, we may not. And then when you scroll down and we see that, can you please scroll down? And then we see here, welcome to our interesting stories. Who's the student stories? Who's our stories? Who's us?
Okay, so we have a look at this.
Oh, no. The homepage has to communicate who the people are that are publishing.
Okay.
You see that? Can you?
We don't have.
It is not clear who are the authors. You said interesting story, our interesting story. Who are the people? Who do you think are the people are? Who's our stories? Who's us here?
That means our groups compromise, extract the story from the fact story.
From what?
Fact story.
I don't understand your English. Sorry. Factor.
Fable.
Okay, our
fable.
Yeah. Foxtail.
A what?
Foxtail.
Foxtail. Okay.
Yeah.
Television. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think first of all, we don't know who are the authors. So I don't know what does it mean, our stories. Who are the people? And I also don't think that you have said what makes this, how the concept of interesting stories is connecting with the picture of the class.
No, I divide into different parts, like home assessment, our group member, and storytelling. But the storytelling, okay, we have the different story. For example, here, like story one, like abstract here. I try to listen on something about the story, and then I can move to the whole story. The 30 crew here. It is my short story or folktale.
Folktale.
Yeah, folktale.
Yeah. Okay. Did you copy and paste it?
I edit from Google because I have no time, and my group member don't have time enough. And
who is the author of the story? Who is the author of the story?
The story, the author of the story is like Indian people, but I'm not sure.
Okay, so let me read it. Let me read the story of the thirsty crow. Can you let me read it first? Up. I want to read the abstract. So the story of the thirsty crow is one of the best moral stories for children. The story articulately teaches you to never stop trying until you win. The story of the thirsty crow illuminates the undefeated try of a crow. It tells how a crow finds himself extremely thirsty in a particular situation. All right, and when you scroll down, so the idea of the website is to create a story of your own. So if you want to, the idea of assignment 1 is to create a story of your own. So if you want to talk about particular subject, like about trying hard, having resilience, you can draw on folk tales, but the idea is not to copy and paste folk tales, because the folk tales are on different websites. I can read the story of a crow somewhere else. On your website, I want to know how you see the value of resilience. You can use elements of the folk tale and say, crow did it this way, this athlete did this way, this other character did it this way. Altogether, it shows to us how from different contexts, or in different contexts, animals and people succeeded because of resilience. So it's a story you need to create, not a story that you republish, right? So the idea is not about talking about miserable crow, because that story I can find on someone else's website with an author being written. I mean, it's not quite clear where you get this text from, right? So this is not something you didn't create that folk tale. So assignment 1 is not about telling the folk tale. Assignment 1 is about writing your own text on a subject where you may draw or integrate experiences from different contexts, like folk tales, like learning about different sports people, or maybe learning from some villagers, or learning maybe from some other contexts of life. So you tell your own story. It's not about typing, retyping someone else's fable. So I would strongly suggest that the story, say, about the crow will not be about the crow, will be the story about resilience. And why you want, tell us why you want to write about resilience. Why is it so important to you? You can actually say that with this story, I mean, maybe you can say with this, in this article, what I would like to touch upon is the importance of resilience. Let me explain to you, you can write what's resilience, and then you can say, look, when we read the folk tale of a crow, that's how resilience was portrayed. When we looked at the television and we saw an athlete pursuing his or her dream, that's a story of, or that's the meaning of resilience. And when we see a mother working hard for children, no matter how hard her life is, still giving more and more to her children, that's another aspect of resilience. And life is about resilience, not because it's hard, but because it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to live through giving, or maybe to pursue your dreams, whatever is the moral of your story. We will talk a little bit more about how to structure a story. So that's something we need to still do either today and next week. So we will do that. But so if you see my point, Song, that the idea is you telling us why you picked the subject of resilience. For whom is it relevant? Is it relevant for your students? Is it relevant for you? Did it touch you? And you want to talk about something that was meaningful to you, right? So that's what assignment 1 is about. A story, to write a text which is about something that touches you see as important, right? We're not rewriting an old folk tale. We are authors, not typists. Is that a little bit clearer? We will go back to this thing. I will be teaching you more about how to create a story, but that's the point I wanted to share with you today on the basis of what you have shown. Just retelling a story, we don't need you to retell it. I can find it on another website. You can create a link. When you talk about resilience, you can create a link to that story, which is on its original website, right? So you can create a link to that story, but you don't retype it, because that's not a modern person. A modern person is not a typist. A modern person is a person that communicates something that is inside of their head, something that is important to you. You may think it's not important to me. Don't make that decision for me. If something touches you and you can express it, that's where the value is, right? What you think other people may think of your writing, it's not your job. It's my job. If I read your stuff and it may be important to me too. It may not be. Not every song sings to everyone. So there are singers who are very famous and I cannot stand them, right? It doesn't mean that their song is good or bad. It just is not for me. But they created their song. They don't sing the same songs over and over and over again from, So the idea is, you want to talk about resilience? Think to yourself, why? What do you want to contrast? Who is your audience? For whom is it important? Is it for you? You want to share your own thoughts, or you want to create a message for others, or both? That's the thing to do. The thing not to do is to retype the old tale. I use old tales to teach you writing because they are short. And therefore, on one page, you can see the entire structure of the text, because that structure is also in every book. Every big book, long book, PhD thesis, master thesis has the same structure as the folk tale. So I use folk tales only because they are short, but very quickly I will move to long text, right? Very quickly, like next week, we will look at longer text. In fact, I prepared them already for today. Not sure whether I will use them, but I have prepared them just in case. So yeah, I'm not sure whether Song you understood my point. So maybe I'll leave it for discussion between Neri and you now. So to make sure. Neri, did you understand?
Yeah, I understood. Strong. What do you think? The thing is that Dr. Ania did not want you to copy and paste all the folktale because it was written by the author already. So she wants you to be more creative. So write your own story, whatever you think it is. It should be new to the audience. So you put it on your website. Is that work on it? Then can you work on that, Strong?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you for your recommendation. I will try my best to edit it. Okay.
Right. So we have a focus. I really like the focus of resilience. I really like the focus of self-management and controlling your emotions and understanding your goals, right? That's what resilience is about. It's about understanding yourself, understanding your goals, understanding what striving means. Strive for your goals, being a reliable person, and also you can rely on yourself. When you can rely on yourself, others can rely on you. That's what resilience, that's the point of resilience. If you can rely on yourself, then other people can rely on you. That's the meaning of resilience. And show it through different stories, through different things you have experienced in your life. And that will be interesting. And see whether it's valuable just as a reflection for yourself, or maybe some other people might actually engage with that, with your thinking too. But make it your story. I like the point of resilience, and I like how you started. Now, make it bigger and better.
Yeah, we'll try, teacher.
Yeah, and also if we can come back to that homepage. I strongly recommend that if you have children on the website, in your header, and you have this proverb which you like, then the text underneath about stories, that the one about interesting stories, I think you need to reflect about it a little bit more. What is it that you will communicate through your website? You know, maybe these are reflections of teachers that made us who we are today, you know, these sort of, so that's that. I think calling it interesting, it's a little bit non-Khmer. You were just saying to me before, Neri, that Khmer is about a bit of humility. You don't blow your trumpet. And yet here he says, look at us, we have those amazing stories. That wouldn't be too bad if he said, who is we? But he didn't say, interesting stories. Who's are interesting stories? I think that should be what in English is called unpacked. At this very moment, it is like a box. We don't know what's in it. Are interesting stories? Nobody knows what that means. You have to now unpack it. What do you think it's in this box? So you need to unpack it, open it, right? And you do it with more precise words, right? With more precise words. Are interesting stories, are stories about, you know, are reflections, reflections that we turned into our stories. Come here and listen to our reflections on life that we created into our stories. You know, come here and listen to our reflections on life. That's interesting. Come here, listen to our, you know, our reflections on life. I like that. That's meaningful. I want to click then. But these are interesting stories. It's a little bit assuming. Still doesn't communicate what will be there, what I can expect underneath that slogan. Are interesting stories. I don't know what they communicate. What are they about? Who is communicating them, for whom? So it's not there. But come here and share with us, or come here to and read our reflections on life. Oh, that's interesting. Your reflections on life. Everybody wants to know what other people think about life, because that's all we have. It's life. So that's good. So if Neri has something else to say, I'm pretty much done.
Yeah, just a little bit more. So what you need to do is that because Dr. Ania trying to tell you that what our story here is a little bit confusing between the pronoun, the our, the demonstrative pronoun like that, which is not really reflect to your profile photo with your banner photo here, because there are a lot of children in the class. It might confuse the reader that the story is about the story of the children, not your group member story at all. Do you get what I mean, Ron?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I got it, teacher. I will try my best to change the picture illustration or the background.
Well, the picture is great, but maybe you can change that text about the story, change that sort of description of the website. That would be good. The picture is great. I love the picture, but maybe you need to change the description of what we can find on your website. That would communicate it better, what we can find on your website. So don't run and change everything because we had a discussion. This is just a draft, and we've got some weeks left. So this is just a draft for you and your group to now reflect some more and make it better for the next week, and then again next week. And I will tell you, even if you get the best grade for your website, in 2 years' time, you would want to change everything, because that's how it is. We always can make things better, but it takes time. So in 2 years' time, we would change our website. In 3 years' time, we change our website, right? It's just ongoing process. So I'm very happy to see so many websites and so many attempts to start things going. I would like you to start thinking about your titles of your stories and start drafting the sequence. I think we should talk today a little bit about the sequence and a little bit more about how to write a story. But we will see. Is anyone else there talking about wanting to show their website?
Okay, let me ask. So Wanara, would you like to show your website? So Wanara, Rich, you are together, right? So will you present your website today? Please let us know. Rich, can you reply to me? Sawanara, are you here?
Sawanara, he went to his hometown. Teacher.
I see. Okay. So there's no more group. Dr. Ania, today only 2 groups, I think.
Okay, so it's all good. We have work in progress. Quite a lot of drafts and a lot of progress, as I said. Okay, so I'll share my screen. So we will keep it short and simple today, but there are some things I would like to talk to you about. So last week, so first of all, let me stress again that students who missed one class or students who even were present at the class, I really strongly suggest that you do go to our website and I just have to find the link. Sorry, my friends. So once again, this is our website, and that you go to lectures in it, lecture recordings, and that you do watch the lectures where I inserted the links in the chat. So if you missed the class, you should watch the lecture there. And if you were in the class but are still confused or would like to re-listen to the class, just by all means, these lectures are uploaded there. We also put the links to these recordings in the Telegram. So that should be helpful to you. So last week, we were talking about why we have so many words in a sentence when a sentence, in fact, can be very short. And what we decided was that these things were important. Things like in a field, because field was where danger lives or change lives. Sometimes the field is abandoned with food, and sometimes there's scarcity, right? Scarcity is in winter, there's no food. And in summer, there's typically a lot of food. So this is why the author of the fable told us the whole action is happening in a field, which is flippant, sometimes good, sometimes bad, right? So it immediately here, the author creates a context for the need to be prepared. So look how skillful is the author. Didn't say in a field because the author felt that he had to say something. The story begins already with a context which has a danger about it. Very quickly tells us, but not to worry. Now is summer. Now we have summer. All good. So, you know, and we have this happy grasshopper. And in order to show that the grasshopper is really, really happy, we will tell you he's not just hopping about, he's chirping and singing and going crazy and having a great time. You see, there's a huge redundancy here for you to feel grasshopper's happiness. So what the sentence communicates is not that the grasshopper is hopping about, but the sentences communicate the cheerfulness of the grasshopper. This is very important. All our text communicates emotions because we understand things through our emotional system, which is at the back of your brain. The emotions signal to us, pay attention, relax, be excited, be happy, cry. And that's how we relate to the text. And the author knows very well that that's how you react to the text. So the author will put on purpose words there to elicit or evoke these emotions from you. So now you are relaxed, happy for the grasshopper. He has a good time. You want the grasshopper to have a good time, right? So he's saying, oh, look at this. So all these words, although grammatically they don't need to be there, but for the purpose of communicating the emotion of being cheerful, careless, right? They had to be there. But the grasshopper is cheerful, but in the context that is flippant. Today, good, lots of food. Tomorrow could be no food. So now we can instantly see that happy grasshopper, yeah, in summer, yes, plenty of money, plenty of food, plenty of everything, plenty. But there is a danger here because the field signals danger. So to come back to our websites, when we describe the purpose of our website, here you will find our interesting stories. How did you set up the context of that website here? What did you tell us about this website to generate an emotion in the public? Our interesting stories. It's not enough said here. I'm feeling more confused because I don't know where to put my emotion. Is it like, do you know what you're talking about that you say they're interesting stories? Are they interesting or do you mean something else? Reflective stories, reflective on life or of life. Oh yeah, maybe you need to go to, what I suggest is to use Google Translate, and not for long sentences, but for phrases. Look for synonyms so that you can find words that communicate emotion that you want to share effectively. So on this website, you will find interesting stories. That's confusing. I don't know what to feel. Should I feel amazement about you because you write interesting stories? And I think you didn't mean that. I think you meant the folk tales are interesting stories, but that didn't come across. So come here and listen to our reflections on life, right? So that's generating in me curiosity. So think what emotion you want to generate in the reader when you describe your website. Curiosity, how can you? Well, philosophers talk about reflections on life. Come here, read our reflections, or read our reflections, or you can actually say reflections of life from the perspective of a Cambodian something or other, I don't know, you have to think about it, right? But you have this Cambodian perspective here, or maybe, right, you can actually name the perspective from which you will represent. But I think our reflections on life is kind of generic and general enough, and yet interesting. It raises curiosity in the public, right? Because life signals danger, like field, right? Life signals danger. We don't know how to live. Thank God we have a language so we can teach children and we can talk to one another. That's why we argue. Argument in Spanish, argument is discussion. Would you believe it? In Spanish, argument, for the word argument means discussion, right? And that's what argument is. Sides trying to learn together from one another about life. So reflection on life is that reflection means, it indicates in me as a public, oh, something, I'm curious now, because you want to share something on the subject which holds danger, like life, right? Life, like field, holds danger. You can have your best intentions and yet live really badly, because you might have missed the most important messages. So reading someone else's reflections on life is interesting, because I don't want to miss important messages, and maybe what you want to share, to me, it may actually make a difference. So we were doing all that. So chirping and singing to its heart's content was there on purpose. The sentence could have existed without it, but it wouldn't communicate the carelessness of the grasshopper, right? So that's why the author put it there. It wasn't just hopping about, it was singing, and as much as it wanted, right? So you can see it because you feel it. And that's why these words are there. And the same in our stories, and the same in our titles for our website. These are the kinds of reflections that we need to go through. Now, you may think that this makes learning and teaching English difficult. This is not correct, because that's how you talk in Khmer. You actually, in Khmer, you do it naturally. That's why I suggest that sometimes what's really good is to start writing in Khmer first, use Google Translate, and then reflect on the use of words that you insert on your website. Because sometimes in Khmer, these things are more apparent to you because you already have that skill in Khmer. All you have to do is to transfer it into English. So if you took a sentence, here you will find our interesting stories, and say it in Khmer and write it on the website in Khmer, you will see that it sounds meaningless. Nobody knows what that means because it doesn't communicate any emotion, because it doesn't have the word life in it. Life, danger, right? Life means danger. So there is an emotion here. And reflection means pacifying, help, which means I am curious how you want to help me, right? So then if you connect life with reflection, you are communicate emotion of danger and pacification, and makes me curious. So then it's a skillful use of words. Check it first in Khmer, then see which words to use in English. When you always start with English, you might actually miss what you otherwise know very well how to do it in your own language. So if we go to the next sentence, we have a situation here that the grasshopper is seeing an ant passing by, right? And it was bearing along, bearing, which is carrying, and here they use the word, bearing along with great toil, with a lot of effort, with great toil, an ear of corn that he was taking to the nest. There was no need to say that the ant was carrying an ear of corn with great toil. So this text, this phrase was not necessary for the sentence to be grammatically correct. We don't need to know that ant was carrying it while dying of hard work. Right? We don't need to know it. We just, but they also put it there to stress how hard the ant worked, but not only how hard the ant worked, it was summer. The ant was carrying heavy load in summer. It was sweating, it was difficult. Wouldn't it much easier to just be hopping and chirping to your and singing to your heart's content? Wouldn't be easier. But that's not what the ant did. And the author showed us it was summer's day and the ant was carrying a big load with great toil, with a lot of work, a lot of effort, right? So we have this, again, redundancy, words not needed, but inserted for us to feel sorry for the ant. So I will illustrate to you once again the same strategy in the next sentence, and then I will teach you something else. But the reason why I'm illustrating these strategies of text to you, so that you can see that words are being used to manipulate the reader, but not manipulate badly, but sometimes badly too, for the reader to feel the story, not to understand the story, but to feel. Here is your emotions right at the back of your head. So the author chooses words to make you feel the story with great toil in summer, whereas the other guy was hopping, chirping, singing, right? Contrast. Look at the contrast the author is creating. Not only makes us feel how the ant felt in summer, it also contrasts the ant, the text contrasts the ant with the alternative. The ant could have been just hopping and chirping. right? And look at this sentence which follows next. And I will finish this kind of discussion about the words now for the time being. Why not come and chat with me? Said the grasshopper. Now that would have been enough to insert here, but instead, the author is saying, instead of toiling and moiling in that way, ask yourself, why is the author using this phrase? Why is the author, does anyone want to comment? Why is the author, I mean, the sentence would be perfectly fine to say, why not come and chat with me? Why did the author say, instead of toiling and moiling, there's a play on words, right? Toiling and moiling, which means working hard. Why do you have to toil and moil this way? Come and chat with me. Why do we have this sentence here? Does anyone want to comment?
Chair, do you want to say anything?
Yes, teacher.
So,
For me, I think that this one, the grasshopper do not want, it means he don't want to toiling and moiling like the ant. We want to play and chat or do something for fun and want to have some friend playing around with him.
Yes, right. But why, in terms of text structure, in terms of, so linguistically speaking, why did the author of this text, the sentence would have been perfectly all right, like this. Why not come and chat with me, said the grasshopper. That would have been okay. Why did the author put this text here instead of toiling and moiling? It could have been easily, very well like this. Why not come and chat with me, said the grasshopper. Oh, I'm helping to lay out food for winter, said the ant. We don't need this sentence. So why do we have it here? Why do we have this clause here instead of toiling and moiling?
So rhyme.
To rhyme,
Yeah,
yes.
rhyme, toil and moil, and that's the rhyme.
But why do we have it there?
For me, it's just show about phonics O-I and show the rhyme of the sound O-I.
Yeah, I think that's just for that's a literary strategy. But I think that the author put the sentence in to again contrast, to remind us what the story is about. It is about comparing, it's about comparing carelessness against working hard and planning ahead. The author put in this contrast again for you to remember what the story is about. Now, fables or folk tales were communicated orally, right? Speaking. So it was very important to continuously remind the public the point of the story. The point of the story is field means sometimes good times, sometimes bad times. It means danger. This means happiness. This means You can't be happy all the time. You have to prepare. And this contrast, which was presented in the beginning of the fable, is reiterated here. Carelessness, come and chat with me, as compared with toiling and moiling, right? So these are communicative strategies to reflect the emotion of carelessness and to compare it with planning ahead, right? That's why we're hearing it again. The author didn't have to put it in for grammatical purposes. It is there to remind us the point of the story. And the point of the story is comparison between carelessness and planning ahead. Carelessness, planning ahead. Carelessness, planning ahead. Look at this here. Planning ahead. I'm helping, the ant said, right? I'm helping with food. This is about planning ahead. And here, it's about carelessness. I recommend you do the same, you careless little insect, right? So the same comparison is carried. Sentence after sentence after sentence after sentence. The whole text continuously keeps the contrast. Careless, planning ahead. Careless, planning ahead. That's what makes this story so brilliant, so well written, right? You may not see it when you read it because we take it for granted. We've heard stories like this when we were little. But when we analyze the story, we can see that the emotion of danger and things being flippant, sometimes good, sometimes bad. Life is like the field, sometimes good, sometimes bad. You need to learn how to live, right? So I'm just referring to the website that our students are creating. So that flippantness and the contrast is carried through the whole text. Why not come and chat with me? Carelessness. Toiling and moiling contrasts now with planning ahead. Planning ahead, I'm working. Carelessness, I recommend to you that you do the same, you careless little insect, right? So it's carried again. Why bother about winter, said the grasshopper. So this one is about planning ahead, right? Planning ahead. Why plan ahead, said grasshopper. That's what why bother about winter means. Why plan ahead? Now, carelessness, we have plenty of food today. We have plenty of food today. Carelessness, right? So you can see that contrast is carried through in each sentence of the text. So I wanted you to see here in this short analysis, we will come back to it again, but not now, not today, but I wanted you to say here that authors, and you, when you write your stories, authors do not use words just to produce grammatically correct text. They use words to generate an emotion in the reader, to make them confused, to make them feel excited, to make them feel curious, to make them feel that there's danger happening. Field means danger, and there are two attitudes now playing out, right? So the reader is kind of like curious here. What will happen? I mean, if grasshopper is so careless and the other one is planning ahead, you sort of are sitting there and waiting what the story will communicate, because we have the field where things can go good or bad, and now we have two different attitudes to life. And so the emotion of carelessness and the emotion of planning ahead are continuously reiterated by the author, right? That's what makes a good text, when you do not lose the plot. You do not lose the plot, right? So what's the plot? What's the point? The point here in this story is that living in the field is not easy. That's the point of a story. Living in the field is not easy. Now, the point of the website about interesting stories, the last one we were analyzing, living is not easy. Come here, read our stories on different aspects of life. Read our reflections, because living is not easy, right? That's what you want to communicate, and that needs to come through your text. Living is not easy. Come here and read our reflections on life, right? As soon as you say our reflections on life, we all understand it, because we all know inside of our stomach that life is not easy. So if you invite readers to read your reflections on life, then we already know, you have already communicated the emotion of danger and addressing danger. And when we had the girls writing, the female students writing about, was it about stories about Cambodia? Cambodia is mysterious, right? Somehow or has a mysterious past. Why not communicate it somehow? Not talk about interesting objects or interesting tourist objects. That doesn't carry any emotion, right? It doesn't do anything to a reader. They just see it as yet another website. But if you want to communicate your love for Cambodia, or the fact that Cambodia has a mysterious history, or the fact that you want to uncover through your stories the mysterious past of Cambodia, right? Well, that's intriguing. That's generating in the public the emotion of feeling intrigued, curious, right? So, and then when you create your stories, keep that plot going, right? It's not about Angkor, it's about the mystery of Angkor. Or it's not about living in Angkor, it's about that life one day is all good, next it's about change, right? Because one day life is all good, like in Angkor, another day everything disappears. So it's about change. So that focus on that, the understanding of the point of your story, it's almost like it has to be in one word. What I'm learning from this text, we might analyze later on other texts and we will say, but in this story, the point here is the field, or more exactly, how to live in the field. Because field is danger. How will you begin your stories? What's the focus? Remember when we were doing Steryang's story, the focus was, I don't know, we will look at it separately, but anyway, let's stick to here. So here the focus is just in this word, because there are many ways in which we can live in the field. Let's have a look how these two different creatures solved it. How did they solve it, right? And see if you can so skillfully also communicate your reflections through your stories. What's the single word focus? Life, field, what are other contexts that we can think of which can create ambiguity for people? School, what else? Work, and what did we have? COVID, right? That's why there was this chat about COVID, right? A lot of this, because COVID created instability, and there are different attitudes with which you can confront it. So there's a lot of danger out there, and there's a lot of lessons to be shared for people to learn from. So in a field, so that in one word, we have danger spelled out. And now, next thing is, so what will you contrast? What kind of attitudes towards this danger you will compare? And how will you go on with that comparison for the story never to lose any of the two, so that the people can actually read to the end until they read your moral? Niri, do you need to translate it into Khmer, what I said? Or because I want to move now to the next stage. I have lots of things to cover, but I will not cover all of them today. I just want to cover one point if we still have time.
I don't think I have to translate because I know English already. You can move forward.
Okay. So we have a little bit of time left. So I will just indicate to you guys something that I want to teach you. But I would like everyone to actually communicate with me now, because I would like this point to come out more from you than from me. I will begin it. I'll begin the process. What I would like us to learn is sequence, right? How a story develops. I want to learn the sequence of text. It's very important we know the sequence of text, because we need to know when we, so what's first, what's second, what's third, what's fourth, what's fifth, what's sixth. I don't know whether it's them all. Okay, I just want to know, because you want to know when you finish the particular stage and when it's the time to jump to the next one. I think we can get it from this story. So the first scene is like the focus, right? There's a field, and then there's a happy grasshopper in the field. So I'm just starting the process of sequencing a story, but I will invite you to cut the story into stages so that you can participate in this process with me. So the first one, I want to call it, I will help you here. I call it myself, I call it focus, because it is like the field with the hopping grasshopper. That's what we see, right? It's just what we see. It's the field with a hopping grasshopper. It's all beautiful, beautiful, peaceful, whatever, right? So that's the scene. That's the scene. That's the first scene we are seeing. So what's the next stage? Can anyone suggest? Where does it start and where does it end? Friends, all you have to do is to just think with me aloud. What's the next stage?
The chat, do you have any idea?
I think I don't have it.
Penny, how about you?
I think maybe start from why not to the at present.
Okay, but I think that we still have to deal with an end passed by. So we have this picture of a jumping grasshopper, and then the picture changes, right? Something happens, like something stunning happens. Like, what the heck? What's an ant doing in the field carrying a heavy load, right? What's the ant doing there, right? So we have this sort of sentence here. We have to deal with this sentence. An ant passed by carrying a heavy load, right? An ear of corn he was taking to the nest. Like, this is very different. The atmosphere here is different. Here we have one picture and this interrupts the picture. It's like different emotion, right? This one is like, what? What's that doing there? Why isn't it hopping and singing to its heart's content? Right? So what I would suggest, I'm not saying I'm always right, but what I suggest, I would put here the stage which I call disturbance, right? Like a problem, like a complication, right? Disturbance, because what's the ant doing there? Carrying the load. The ant should be happy, singing to its heart's content, right? But it isn't. So I think that this is another stage. I agree with you that this one is like almost a stage of its own. I like that. I call it dialogue. It's like literature review, right? Dialogue. Now what's happening here, notice, what are they talking about? What is the grasshopper and the ant talking about? What are the grasshopper and the ant talking about? Any idea? We have to finish the class in 10 minutes or less, so we have to hurry a little bit. What is the grasshopper and the ant talking about?
Vita, what do you think? So Penny, maybe they are not here.
Yeah,
They
I'm
are
here,
out.
teacher, but I have no idea.
Okay.
Sorry, teacher.
Okay, they are talking about why the heck is the ant carrying, why the heck is the ant working so hard? That's what they are talking about. Why are you working so hard? Why not come and talk with me? Why toil and moil? Toil and moil. Why? This is like a rhyming phrase. Why work so hard? So they're talking about the dialogue on the disturbance, on the problem, right? They are talking about, so this is when once we establish a sequence of texts, then it will make easier for us to create our own stories, right? We will know what relates to what. So this has value to our own. So field, danger, right? With grasshopper hopping about. So that's the focus. Disturbance. Someone else had a different response to the field, right? So field, danger, and the response was beautiful, happy, I hope I can run around it. But there was a disturbance now. An ant didn't hop around or about. An ant was toiling and moiling. So the dialogue followed on the disturbance. Why the heck are you working so hard? That's the discussion, right? The discussion is, what the heck are you doing here? You should be doing what I'm doing. You should have my response to danger, not your response to danger, right? Field means danger. So they're talking about it. Well, you know, I'm laying up food for the winter. I recommend you do the same. The grasshopper says, "Oh, you're crazy. Why bother about winter? Plenty of food around." And look what happened. What's the next stage? They finished their dialogue, and now this is the solution that the ant adopted, right? It's the solution that the ant adopted. It's the method. It's the solution that the ant went on its way and continued its toil. It's very different, this sentence, because this sentence is like solution that the ant created as a result of this, that the ant adopted, right? It's the solution. This is what happened next. What happened next? They had a talk about it, and what happened next? Ant just took off and continued its work. But the text below is very different from this one, because the text below gives us what? The outcome of the story, like what they call the resolution, right? The first one is like, so what happened? Well, the ant went on its way, right? So they finished the dialogue, and once the dialogue was completed, this is what the ant decided to do. It went on its way. Okay, some time passes, right? Implied here is some time passed. And solution, nature brought its own solution. And what happened? When winter came, the grasshopper had no food and found itself dying of hunger. The sentence could have finished here, right? It could have finished here. When the winter came, the grasshopper had no food and found itself dying of hunger. Then the grasshopper knew it's best to prepare for the days of necessity. That would have been perfectly all right, but the author put this sentence in. While it saw the ants, I will just, pardon me, I will just underline it. So the author added, while it saw the ants distributing everyday corn and grain from the stores they had collected in summer. Why did the author do that? Why is this sentence there? Why is this sentence there? To exaggerate the pain of the grasshopper. Imagine how it felt, not only to see the ants eat, but to see them eat every day, right? If you ever had been hungry, or you have seen people in Cambodia hungry, one day hungry and looking at other people eat, it's a pain. But to do it every day, right? So on the one hand, it is to evoke in you, the reader, the emotion of not sympathy, but clarity. oh my God, he was so stupid. He didn't plan ahead, right? And now he must be really suffering. And the author is saying, yes, suffering every day. He's suffering every day. So that's one reason why we have this sentence here. Another reason is to keep comparing. Careless, planning ahead. Grasshopper has no food. The result of being careless is you have no food. The result of planning ahead is you have food, right? Again, that comparison. As I said, from the beginning to the end, that comparison of these two attitudes to living in a field is carried over all the time, all the time, all the time. So we have it here again. Grasshopper has no food, careless. Ants are distributing food to each other, which they collected over the summer, right? That's planning ahead. Again, the contrast is being kept and repeated in every sentence. So I think that the stage here is dialogue, but this one here is, so what happened next? I call it, personally, I call it development. So the discussion finished. What happened next? Well, the ant left. I think that this one is resolution. I call it resolution. Where were we? Sometime past, right? Sometime past. So that's, so what happened as a result? What's the solution? I call it resolution. And then obviously, so that's resolution, sometime past. Nature revealed who was right. And the moral. Then the grasshopper knew the moral is, it is best to prepare for the days of necessity. Moral. So I want to show it to you that I strongly believe that we have 6 stages in text. We have focus, we have disturbance, we have dialogue, we have development, we have resolution, and we have moral. I'll show you our own text. Focus was the field, which is the context, which spelled out danger. And we saw someone's attitude. Danger, but in summer it's all good. So focus, field, danger, but today it's all good. And then something happened, disturbance. That peacefulness and that joyfulness of a grasshopper was disrupted. So grasshopper is happy, then this happiness gets disrupted because the ant is not hopping about, the ant is doing a serious work. Dialogue, they talk about disturbance. You're silly, why are you doing this? You should be doing this. And the ant says, I think you're silly, you should be doing what I'm doing. They got nowhere with the discussion. The ant went on its way. Implied, the grasshopper kept on hopping about. Resolution, sometime past. What did we learn? The grasshopper is dying while watching the ants distributing the food to each other, which they collected over the summer. The moral, be prepared, right? Every moral, even if it is worded differently, it always has a structure. It is always best to whatever, right? The moral always has a structure. What's always best to do, right? So I will leave now time for Neri to talk about it a little bit and whatever she wants to share with you guys. But for the next time, we will be analyzing now different texts and looking how they work with this structure and what you can learn from it for your own stories, okay? So you continue now working on your stories. thinking about what you will write about. I think you all are on a very good path. I'm really, really just surprised and happy, very happy. Surprised because when I teach, I never know how people will react, because especially since you're so far away, but having Neri is such a help. In any case, you're doing very well. You have your points of focus. Now you need to sort of polish it better. So next week, we will look at how different texts work with this structure, and we will see how helpful it might be for you. And I will see whether it's really a good structure as I discuss with you, because these discussions help me to see better, understand things better. So I want to finish for today and now just leave room for Neri to chat with everyone. Neri, do you want me to stop sharing, or do you want me to keep that PowerPoint on?
You can stop sharing because I have my notes on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So Sophie សុលតា សេនិក តច្ចាវនិត ហើយនឹងរីកនៅជាមួយខ្ញុំដែរទាំងអស់គ្នា
Yes, teacher.
ចាហ្នឹងហើយ ចាអរគុណ
I'm here.
អរគុណដែលបាននៅជាមួយគ្នារហូតដល់ចប់ខ្ញុំយល់តាមពិតទៅវាចំណាយរយៈពេលយូរបន្តិចហើយវាជាមួយដែលគួរធុញតិចសម្រាប់ពួកយើងទាំងអស់គ្នាហើយតាមពិតក្នុងន័យហ្នឹងគឺគាត់ចង់បង្រៀនយើងឲ្យចេះក្នុងការ structure text ទេឥឡូវខ្ញុំសូមលើកពីសេនិកបន្តិចសេនិកនៅដំបូងគេឡើយគឺតកតងជាមួយនឹង website របស់យើងហ្នឹងតកតងជាមួយនឹង tourism site interesting place in Cambodia ហ្នឹងតាមពិតទៅក្នុងរូបភាពហ្នឹងបើសិនជាយើងដាក់រូបប្រាសាទអង្គរវត្តតែមួយអ្នកអ្នកមើលទៅគឺដឹងថាអូយើងនិយាយពីរឿងប្រាសាទអង្គរវត្តហើយអញ្ចឹងវាអត់មានអីដែលគួរឲ្យតាក់ទាញដូចគាត់និយាយអញ្ចឹងគេចូលទៅ Google ปุ๊បគេអាចឆែកមើលបានចង់ទៅមើលកន្លែងណាលេងកន្លែងណាគឺវាងាយស្រួលហើយមិនចាំបាច់អីចូលក្នុង website របស់យើងដាក់សំណួរមកអញ្ចឹងណាអញ្ចឹងជាទូទៅគឺយើងមុននឹងយើងទៅសេរឿងហ្នឹងគឺយើងត្រូវតែមើលរូបភាពតែរូបភាពហ្នឹងតាក់ទាញទេហើយនៅបើយើងដាក់តែប៉ុណ្្នឹងគឺប្រកាសជាអ្នកអានគាត់ភ័ន្តច្រឡំហើយសម្រាប់ខ្ញុំសម្រាប់អ្នកផ្សេងគាត់មើលគាត់ដឹងថាអូអង្គរវត្តសិក្សាតែមកនិយាយហ្នឹងឃើញទេគឺគាត់តែបានមើលសាច់រឿងអីទេហើយចូលមកដល់ទី2តាក់ទងជាមួយនឹងសំណេរដែលយើងនិយាយហ្នឹងគឺវាអត់ទាន់ក្បោះក្បាយនៅឡើយទេសម្លេចគិតដូចខ្ញុំហ្នឹងគិតដូចអ្នកគ្រូទេ
ហ្នឹង teacher ដោយសារថៃថខ្ញុំហ្នឹងវារៀងខ្លីអត់រៀបរាប់វែងអត់រៀបរាប់ពី website ហ្នឹងថាចង់និយាយពីអីត្រូវគាត់ចង់ឲ្យវារៀងច្បាស់លាស់បន្តិចអញ្ចឹងណាកុំឲ្យថាចេញមកស្វាគមន៍មកកាន់ website របស់យើងគេហទំព័ររបស់យើងតែប៉ុណ្្នឹងមើលទៅវាអត់មានអីដែលគួរឲ្យគេចង់ដឹងថាគេចូលទៅហ្នឹងគេបានអីបានព័ត៌មានអីពីយើងទេអញ្ចឹងណាអញ្ចឹងយើងសរសេរឲ្យក្បោះក្បាយតិចមកនៅក្នុងន័យហ្នឹងគឺយើងចង់ឲ្យគេហ្នឹងដឹងពីអីចូល website របស់យើងហ្នឹងមើលទៅឃើញអីហើយជាទូទៅយើងកុំទៅសេអ្វីដែលគេទៅសេហើយអ្វីដែលគាត់ចង់បានណាបើទៅសេអ្វីដែលគេទៅសេហើយដែរវាមានអីប្លែកទេហើយយើងជាមនុស្សដែលថ្មីយើងត្រឹមតែអ្នក design website មួយថ្មីឬយើងថ្មីទៀតខ្ញុំមិនជឿជាក់ថាអ្នកគ្រប់គ្នាហ្នឹងគិតថាយើងហ្នឹងអស្ចារ្យ website ដ៏ល្អមួយឯងអញ្ចឹងមិនសិនជាយ៉ាងនឹកឃើញនៅខេត្តកោះកុងសៀមរាបឬក៏កំពតហ្នឹងយើងរកកន្លែងតំបន់ណាមួយដែលអ្នកផ្សេងគេមិនសឹងទៅបានទៅគេមិនសូវតែបានស្គាល់យករឿងនោះយកមកទៅសេប្រាប់គេវិញអាហ្នឹងវាល្អទៅជាងហើយដល់ live រូបភាពយើងកុំដាក់រូបភាពរបស់យើង3នាក់ហ្នឹងនៅកន្លែងហ្នឹងនៅទំព័រមុខគេអញ្ចឹងឃើញគាត់ច្រឡំទេគាត់និយាយពី background របស់សេនិកឬក៏លីតាឬក៏អ្នកណាគេ3នាក់យើងហ្នឹងគាត់គិតថាយើងទៅសេអំពីរឿងនៅក្នុងហ្នឹងតែតែពិតមិនមែនទេត្រូវទេហ្នឹងហើយតែពិតយើងចង់ទៅសេពីខេត្តរបស់យើងហ្នឹងទេប៉ុន្តែដល់ហេតុតែរូបភាពរបស់យើងម្នាក់នោះចេញមកនៅខាងក្រោយមានរូបបឹងរូបទន្លេរូបស្ទឹងគាត់គិតថាអូប្រកាសជាទៅសេពីជីវភាពរស់នៅរបស់មនុស្សនៅក្នុងហ្នឹងហើយតាមពិតយើងអាចទៅសេបានមែនវាអត់ខុសទេយើងអាចទៅសេពីជីវិតអ្នករស់នៅខេត្តកោះកុងឬក៏នៅខេត្តកំពតហ្នឹងគាត់រស់នៅរបៀបម៉េចណាហ្នឹងក៏ជារឿងចាប់អារម្មណ៍មួយដែរសម្រាប់អ្នកដែលគាត់ចង់ទៅលេងហ្នឹងគាត់គិតថាពេលគាត់ទៅលេងហ្នឹងគាត់មើលសកម្មភាពអ្នកស្រុកហ្នឹងយ៉ាងម៉េចគាត់រស់នៅយ៉ាងម៉េចអាហ្នឹងក៏អាចទៅសេបានដែរអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំចង់បញ្ជាក់មកវិញរូបភាពដែលយើងដាក់ហ្នឹងធ្វើម៉េចឲ្យវាឆ្លុះបញ្ចាំងទៅលើសំណេររបស់យើងអញ្ចឹងកុំឲ្យគេច្រឡំភ័ន្តច្រឡំណានឹងសនិទ្ធយល់ណាយកទៅឆាយ៉ាងរូបភាពក្រុមខ្ញុំហ្នឹងខ្ញុំដូរទៅដាក់កន្លែង about us ខ្ញុំបង្កើតហ្នឹងហើយដាក់វាចូលនៅក្នុង about us ទៅហើយយើងរៀបរាប់ទៅថា author ទី1ហ្នឹងគាត់ជាអ្នកណាគាត់ធ្វើការអីគាត់
hiện khang ấy chẳng tới nó bia chiên đại kia rụm lịch bao khang đám cứ thôi cái phòn trở làm đôi nhà khô chẳng còn trở làm bạt tà hào cái nhé chẳng cô na những đạo rụp hiếp cứ từ xe âm phí story vô tèm đòn đường vô tèm đòn rụp hiếp click tới bắp tới rụp hiếp nó được hướng cái độ bánh này nhé rụp hiếp nó cứ thì sẽ hướng năng chẳng ạ có trong màn chẳng á cha năng chẳng vậy để có trong bàn hay ở lối son tự bật thấy đã từ son với đã từ hướng từ xe story time nó vô hướng kia vô mặt đạp hướng bị tiền mình nó trong top ao dục bò tăng bị đào mưa hòi tập bắt tới hướng bạc kế dương dục bạc kế mặt đạn nó vì tranh máu cái mực đâm tập tại mặt đòn chẳng nó của ấy dương mình chẳng nhận được pone vậy để có trong mắt cứ từ xe để khuôn ai cho mà nhắm chơi tình vậy tha xong bây giờ rụp hiệp á cục cho mặt trăng ở dương vô bị cùng cổ đây hạt ấy của vi chia được bỏ kê vì mình chỉ bỏ dương hay nơi hạt dương còn là từ thọt hộp hạt dương cái lại na là dương tất cả trong từ xe vô mặt đã cổ vi san cổ vi là o này mình chụp ảnh thì vô bỏ kê nhưng chạy tình vậy chân mà tay kia dương nơi từ chia dương vô hộp chứ có nơi từ to chân tay chân á chân từ lọc mơ đường này tiền ông quýnh xem đẹp rón chân mình cua na vô hướng bỏ kê mà đã tế dân ai mà cái cốt bên ấy story time dân ai thọt hụt phiệp dưới thì tiên rương ao con sơ lá ngày con sơ nó không sơ lá nó sẽ đạp tới hay dương từ xe people what ấy mua dân cả bán đi coi dân vô hưởng ấy cái sạch cái cái này vô mà mình dây bị bọn này bị cái hay linh từ lơ rương nắng của bán này chưa nhân vô sạch hưởng cái tiếng sông vô mà đã vì mưa tới vì ọt cái này nhẹ sắc xá em chọn để cho một tay ở nơi được vì nè ok ở lấy sơ độc sẽ cái đây nó về để quan vô rương cần đốt hay là rương sầm màu cho mình vậy kẹp dư nó mình có trang phép ta mà mốc đi hưởng ấy hưởng để tiên tập phần đó thì có trang phép thá rồi biết không ca từ xe rướng vừa mất ở viên biên đập đào trầm trời chẳng á miền p về lia miền bạc bọt miền ti cái lại cho bạc lùa nơi cái lại na hưởng nghèo nâng chẳng là lấy từ lọc mâu với hưởng bao xin để cho xin lấy chạy tôn là nó hưởng khai có pơ rồi có công rồi có xiêm miệt chẳng nhận đơn thì tăng với nước khai nâng nó đồng bòn nâng chẳng nơi xiêm miệt với miền trở này ta dân vô khai nam đồng bòn nắm mới nơi xiêm miệt rồi cho họ nơi ấy tập lẹ mà choán này nhiều mà đơn nái tập tạm pơ choán chỉ đồng bòn mùi nhé chẳng thực đau từ lỡ bạc được bọt cái lại tì tăng nâng hai nó complete p về lý nó cho bằng loa phòng cho miền p về lý miền tì tăng miền cái lại miền ấy nó không nắng cứ nó phải để này an bập tới cái đơn thảo ô khiêm ban an hưởng năng ạ về được khiêm trong thời thưa nó nhưng thời thưa mà chẳng á cho vì thời miền đồng đạp đồng đào rồi bỏ vì trong lúc đấy cái ca được xây bao nhiêu thời bore này làm pi sẽ cầm phiếp như vậy trong mình trang pi ed giả bọt bom nữa không năng được còn miền son tình địa trai tròn kia mình ta được thị xã kia nhé bạn mưa tới vi cu ở cha bà ròm chẳng dương bao chia apon trả máu mình ta trai tròn rồi còn miền ôi thôi thằng nè sọc được không nó còn vậy ta cái lại khiếm cái lại đài ăn cầm bám á bà sinh chỉ nè một tí ní nè bà có chim bên nào đó ta rùng phớp nè trong sầm đầy ở năng mình chưa sầm đầy bao nhiêu cái đây chưa sầm đầy bao nè phun mới tin từ với nhưng đã sầm đầy và có trâu máu lại nắng trong thua ai nè ăn cất tha ô con bên nào đó mua thà quạt bàn tơi tin đủ hài chẳng bằng quạt phở bịa tha ấy chứ phở bịa tha emotion nó ở rộng cho nên về để dựng án dương miền ở đó tôi chụp mũi nó sầm nề để bảo dương mặt là hài chẳng cao từ xe bảo dương dương thời tại thường mất dương tiền ở đó này ăn là cho tôi chụp mũi dương nó không năng chụp mũi cái này chẳng hay bà sinh trẻ ai vật phở bịa cái lại năng miền việc development nữa chẳng miền ca bị po này miền ca bình dương miền ca này nó bà sinh chỉ miền nằm sai tất cả đại từ xa không cạn này na ôi thôi nè đa lên cầm san có từ không khai và xa tao quạt cua thời thưa ấy có thời vô là bỏ ấy thì tam luôn làm bay tụt scat của ao miền Tây nhà hàng cát làng ôi họ tập liên thét thời tầm miền ải liên thời tầm miền rồi bỏ tới tam luôn chẳng á nó nói với chia ở với đại dương thời hiệp trăm với chia đập đảo trong sườn nề nhưng trong sọt màu với nhỉ bà sinh đại dương mưa ta hưởng cả đồ phải nâng sầm máu mưa tới đôi chỉ hưởng địa tiên của buổi một má nhé giờ mình ai cả xây nó không website bỏ dương má này bàn tay dương cất vía ao tụi lìa tới nhận đang thà ô sầm nếคือ viền chân với thời điểm biên ca lục lâm chỉ muốn ở rom chỉ muốn p và lia chỉ muốn đồng nói sai chỉ muốn ca được qua đằng nia tiếng không được không nằng vô là vậy được trong chia dương vậy phải kia dương ấy
vô thì
chà vô tay mình nè thế sẽ nín
ta đừng thôi ban đừng ao tay vô
năng ngày vô ban tên mình nè Penny Lita tất xa và nít hay đi ấy ăn vô lắm tên nào hỏi khi dương
vô cha vô đang đang vừa ban bạch vinh
anh ngày tuần tháng dương vô xem dương vô là vậy được qua trong bán khi dương vừa cả rồi cha tất xa mày đấy
តកតងការនិពន្ធរឿងតយើងលក្ខណៈឲ្យមានលក្ខណៈមាន climate មាន problem មានដូចមូលន័យមានបញ្ហាភាពសាំងញ៉ាំអីគេហ្នឹង
ចានឹងតចាយល់បានច្រើនទៅហើយតចាថ្ងៃនេះអត់បានបង្ហាញបន្ថែមទេហ្នឹងហើយតែប៉ុន្តែការចូលរួមរបស់យើងសុទ្ធតែល្អក្នុងការអភិវឌ្ឍសំណេររបស់យើងនៅក្នុងសាច់រឿងហ្នឹងគាត់តែគ្នាយើងមួយចំនួនហ្នឹងគាត់អត់សូវបានចូលរួមអញ្ចឹងទៅវាខ្វះការចូលរួមខ្វះការអភិវឌ្ឍខ្លួនឯងអញ្ចឹងដូចសិននេះគាត់ថាគាត់ជាលើកដំបូងរបស់គាត់ហើយអ្នកគ្រូគាត់មកតបវិញគាត់ថាមិនមែនជាលើកទី1ទេតែប៉ុតលើកទី1សម្រាប់យើងបង្ហាញប៉ុន្តែវាមិនមែនលើកទី1ក្នុងការចូលរួមគាត់ចង់បញ្ជាក់អញ្ចឹងឯណាសិនិចហ្នឹងហើយគីឡូមានអារម្មណ៍ថាពេលដែលខ្ញុំបង្ហាញទៅគាត់បែរជាឲ្យមតិឲ្យយោបល់អីរិះគន់នេះមកវិញហើយអញ្ចឹងវាមិនមែនបានន័យថាគាត់ចង់ធ្វើអីឲ្យគាត់ចង់ឲ្យធ្វើយើងអភិវឌ្ឍទេអូខេណាទៀតលីតាដូចអត់នៅក្បែរខ្ញុំសោះលីតានៅណាវិញ
ចាអ្នកគ្រូ
ហ្នឹងហើយលីតាហ្នឹងហើយយល់លីតាយល់អ្វីដែលខ្ញុំព្យាយាមសង្ខេបឲ្យ
តែចាំមើលនឹងថាធ្វើបានអត់យើងពិបាកប្រើពាក្យបែបថារៀបចំវាអញ្ចឹងអ្នកគ្រូតែដោយសារខ្ញុំមិនសូវបានឆ្លើយខ្ញុំមកដល់ខេត្តកោះកុងឯលេសិចស្អក
អូចាហ្នឹងហើយហើយបើសិនជាយល់ព្យាយាមប្រាប់សមាជិកក្នុងក្រុមរបស់យើងបន្ថែមទៀតផងព្រោះជួនកាលលីតាជាមួយនឹងសិនិចត្រូវទេតែ2នាក់ណា
3នាក់អ្នកគ្រូខាងពីមួយទៀត
ហ្នឹងហើយតែគាត់អត់នៅទេហ្នឹងហើយជួនកាលយើងស្ដាប់អត់បានច្បាស់អីហ្នឹងយើងអាចសួរទៅវិញទៅមកថាគួរអភិវឌ្ឍស្អីយើងយ៉ាងម៉េចឲ្យវាមើលទៅវាគួរចាប់អារម្មណ៍អញ្ចឹងណា
ចាអ្នកគ្រូ
ហ្នឹងហើយព្រោះអីនិយាយទៅយើងពី3សប្តាហ៍មកហើយវាជិតវាគៀកថ្ងៃហើយវាខែ1តែយើងផ្លេច deadline ខែ1អញ្ចឹងខ្លាចតែយើងធ្វើអត់ទាន់ព្រោះជាបញ្ហាអញ្ចឹងបានចិត្តថាឲ្យពួកយើងបង្ហាញមកហើយយើងព្យាយាមស្ដាប់គេហើយយើងយកទៅអភិវឌ្ឍខ្លួនឯងមិនមែនស្ដាប់តែគេហើយយើងអត់ធ្វើទេគេធ្វើបានប៉ុណ្ណឹងអញ្ចឹងយើងធ្វើអីដែលបានប្រសើរជាងនឹងទៅទៀតអញ្ចឹងណា
ចាអរគុណអ្នកគ្រូ
ចាអរគុណសង្ឃឹមថាទឹកចាធ្វើបានច្រើនហើយទឹកចាបច្ចុប្បន្នត្រូវដល់ណាហើយនិយាយអញ្ចឹង
នៅដែរអ្នកគ្រូសាស្ត្រគ្នាខ្ញុំគាត់ពលគាត់អីអញ្ចឹងណាហើយក៏បានទឿនពួកគាត់ដែរ
ចាអញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាគាត់នៅឡើយធ្វើម៉េចទឹកចាធ្វើឲ្យរឿងខ្លួនឯងនឹងមួយសិនទៅដើម្បីកុំឲ្យថាយើងទៅ3នាក់ហ្នឹងនៅទាំងអស់អញ្ចឹងណា
បាទអ្នកគ្រូ
ចាអរគុណច្រើនបាត់រីកបាត់ហើយខ្លាចខ្ញុំសួរគាត់ទៅបាត់ហ្នឹងហើយអរគុណនិយាយទៅប៉ុណ្្នឹងអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំចង់សរុបទៅប៉ុណ្្នឹងដែរហើយតនេអាចធ្វើបន្ថែមខ្លះទៅហើយថ្ងៃអង្គារនេះយើងក៏អត់រៀនដែរព្រោះគ្នាយើងហ្នឹងត្រូវទៅធ្វើការងារនៅតាមខេត្តពួកយើងអត់ទៅមែនឬក៏យ៉ាងម៉េចគ្នាយើងអ្នកនៅនេះ
ខ្ញុំអត់មានខ្ញុំជាអតីតបុគ្គលិកនេះបង
សិនបុគ្គលិកនៅចាបុគ្គលិកដែរហ៎
ខ្ញុំនិស្សិតអ្នកគ្រូតែខ្ញុំការងារតខ្លួន
អូខេចាអញ្ចឹងបានមកចូលរួមហ្នឹងហើយអត់អីទេអញ្ចឹងមិនម៉ានហ្នឹងគាត់នឹងផ្ញើការថតវីដេអូហ្នឹងទៅតាមក្រុមយើងហើយបើសិនជាយើងគិតថាចង់ចាក់មើលឡើងវិញក៏មើលទៅគាត់ចិត្តទៅឲ្យប្រាប់យើងថាមើលឡើងវិញអ្នកដែលថាអត់បានចូលរួមអីហ្នឹងតែព្យាយាមគ្នាយើងចិត្តតែคลิกបានមើលមិនបានចូលមើលអញ្ចឹងណាចឹងតែវាធ្វើឲ្យយើងបាត់ព័ត៌មានមួយចំនួនហ្នឹងឯងអរគុណអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំសូមបិទប៉ុណ្ណឹងសម្រាប់ថ្ងៃហ្នឹងណាកុំឲ្យខានពេលវេលាយើងយូរពេកមានអីចង់និយាយទៀតទេ
មានជំរាបលា
ចាអរគុណអញ្ចឹងជំរាបលាសុខសប្បាយណាចា So Ania I end my talk now you can finish
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Every time you talk to students, I feel it clarifies a lot, and students are really so responding to you so well, and you have this lovely discussion. So thank you so much, and I will close the Zoom now.
Yeah.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
everybody
See
for
you next
showing up,
week.
even though I understand some of you have had other obligations. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye.